Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining Lindsay and I today. We're going to be talking about 5 steps to making a great first impression in general, but also specifically for your new employee. So, like I said, Lindsay's going to be monitoring the chat for us today. So, feel free to throw any questions in there. But as always, jump off mute and ask any questions as you may have them. I'm going to apologize for my voice. I've gotten over the flu a few weeks ago and I'm just trying to keep it going. So I do apologize for that. Before we get started, anybody have any questions or need anything? Again, just throw that in the chat and Lindsay will keep an eye on that for us. So to get started, let's talk about impressions. I loved this quote. First impressions die slowly, bad impressions take even longer. So let's get started on the right foot so we don't have to spend any time correcting or improving that first impression that we gave. So I found this to be really interesting. There's actually a study that talks about how 55% of the first impressions that are made, those are made up by what we see. Okay, not even by what's said, but what we see. And then 38% is the way your first words are heard. So again, not even what you said, but their perception of what you're saying. 7% of a first impression are the actual words that we say. So I thought that was really interesting and something for us to think about. So, what do you think that's being said that you aren't actually saying when you meet somebody? What's kind of that vibe that you're giving off? Because that's how we're being judged. So, according to Harvard Business School, people make decisions about other people that they're meeting for the first time, though, based on 2 different metrics. So, today we're going to talk a lot about trustworthiness and building that confidence. So, how do we relay trustworthiness and confidence? This is going to be done through active listening, which is really fundamental for any type of effective communication. It's going to be done but with body language. So, nonverbal cues, those really make a difference to people. And, depending on the type of person that you're interacting with, different kinds of people kind of pick up on those things a little bit differently than others. And so, if you turn your back to someone to go answer the phone, it may offend one person and it may be totally fine with another. But those body cues definitely matter. And then consistency. Are we walking the talk? Are we doing what we're saying we're doing? And then also empathy, understanding others' perspectives. And then honesty, obviously, is the bedrock of credibility. So let's kind of dive into these 5 and see how this affects us. So, with active listening is a communication skill that involves going beyond simply hearing the words that another person speaks. I thought this was interesting. It said it's actively processing and then seeking to understand the meaning and the intent behind the words that the other person's using. So it does require being mindful and focused in that communication process. So not really just hearing their words, but really understanding. And then also, are you hearing what they're not saying? Is really active listening. And then body language. So, body language is obviously referring to the nonverbal signals that we use to communicate. So, these nonverbal signals make up a huge part of daily communication. And then remember, we just talked about the 55% of a first impression being based upon what they see. So, although this is built on this 1960 study, it's really true today still. So, again, if you're meeting somebody with arms crossed and legs crossed and not making a lot of eye contact, probably says a lot without you saying it. And then consistency. Consistency builds trust by demonstrating reliability and predictability. It sets expectations and it leads to loyalty. So, simple ways to build trust through consistency include really doing what you say, walking that talk, being true to yourself, and then maintaining that nonverbal communication that's in harmony with what you're saying. So, we can be saying all sorts of great things, but if my body language is saying something totally different, that's not really consistent. So, I loved that they mentioned that, making sure that that stays in harmony. And then with empathy, we want to make sure that when the employees feel understood and that they're cared for, they're going to be more likely to work together effectively and support one another. Empathy has been found to positively correlate with employee productivity. When employees feel valued and supported, they're more motivated to perform their best and contribute to the organization's success. So, by incorporating empathy into the workplace, organizations can create a more engaged and productive workforce. This can lead to improved overall performance and success for the organization. So, when you're greeting someone for the first time, we can have that empathy, we can have that openness, and sharing that with that person is going to put them in a little bit of a different mindset as well. And then, lastly, of those 5 steps, we'll be talking about honesty. So, a trustful workplace typically has a culture that's developed through values, hard work, and strong teamwork. And honesty builds trust and it contributes to a culture of open communication, value among coworkers, and transparency, which is one of our behavioral expectations, right? So, always tell the truth, even if it's awkward. When you're honest, you're letting your office mates know that they're important to you. So, how do we implement these things with our new employees? Well, first, we're always going to strive for excellence. I don't know if this image looks familiar to you, but again, this is one of our behavioral expectations to always strive for excellence. And we should never be okay with okay. We should always strive for excellence in everything that we do, especially with that interaction with others. So, as of recent, maybe you've heard our excellence every time, and that's kind of what we're talking about with this. So, if we're truly striving for excellence in our interaction with others, and then building trust and confidence with our new employees, that should be pretty easy, but it should also be really fun for us and for them. So, most importantly, this is one of my favorite sayings. I know it might be a little bit negative, but I feel like it's really true and it really like reminds me, ooh, I need to build a plan. I need a process here. So if you fail to plan, plan to fail. Maybe not fail, but things probably won't go as swimmingly as you had hoped. So think about it in this way. If you're already busy and you're short staffed, then you're beyond busy. And it's easy to know that if you have a new employee and an extra set of hands starting, let's say on next Wednesday, that you've got this new employee and things are going to go great. But are you really ready? Are you really ready to bring them onto your team? You're probably ready for the help, but are you ready to build trust and build confidence with a new employee? Because that takes some time and it takes some planning. So, we really want you to schedule your call with your new employee within 24 hours of them accepting their position. And then we would like for you to mark yourself out for their first day. Don't take a lot of meetings, don't have a bunch of rent to post. We know that those things have to happen, but what we're really shooting for is that you're planning that day for them because we need to be ready for them and we want to avoid any types of distractions. So once that new employee has accepted their offer, one of the recruiters will email you, and we're going to give you the time that they're going to start. We'll confirm with you what location they're going to start at, but then we're also going to provide you with their phone number. So not only can you welcome them to the team, but they may have to give 2 weeks notice, and so we may be around that 2 to 2.5 week time frame, and we definitely don't want them to go that whole time without hearing from us. We really feel like making that connection right away is super important. It engages them, it gets them really excited. But if you just kind of call and go, hey, welcome to the team, we're excited to have you, not exactly the same thing. So we'll go over that a little bit today. We want you to do your practice of active listening during this phone call. And so because we really truly feel that that very first phone call that you make that can be the most impactful if you plan the time wisely. So be excited about welcoming them to Selden LLC and ask them questions that engage them. And if we're actively using the active listening, then we're processing and seeking to understand, remember? So these questions create an open and friendly environment that will help them feel excited about their first day and their first month just coming onto the team. So ask them a couple of these questions. What are you most excited about in your new role? What excites you about coming onto the team? And then also, is there anything that you know you'd like to accomplish? I know for me, if I had gone through an interview and I got offered a job, I wouldn't just immediately stop thinking about it. For me, I'd probably start thinking about it even more, and all the things that I want to achieve. And then do you have any questions that, oh, I'm sorry, what's the best way that I can make your first day more enjoyable? For me, that might be chocolate and a coffee. But what can I do to make your job more enjoyable on that first day? Again, we may not be able to meet all of their requests, but we're using that active listening. We're trying to figure out like what they want to say, I guess, what they want to share with us. And then, do you have any questions that I can answer for you? They may have a question about benefits or they may have a question about their schedule. And this is a great time to engage with them about that. So, we're going to ask them these questions. And then I would also maybe ask them, like, what is your favorite coffee? What's your favorite snack? I'd love to bring that in for you for the first day. How would that make you feel if your new boss was asking you that? That would make me feel pretty special. And so once we are asking these questions, then it's time to relay the information. Anytime that we're exchanging information, an equal push and pull is really important. And so we've pulled that information from them by asking the questions, and now we're going to push information to them. So if they don't ask about their schedule, you can. Ensure that they know what their schedule is. What time are they supposed to be to work every day? Especially if it's a leasing agent. You guys have some kind of wonky schedules every once in a while, and it might not always be 8:30 to 5. So make sure that that person really knows their schedule. And do they know how to get to the job location? They may have interviewed at Selden Corporate, but they may be out on site at Kellum or Onyx. So make sure that they know where they're supposed to go and offer them directions if need be. And then who will they be meeting if it isn't you? Maybe your community business manager and your regional is in a different state. You will likely be meeting somebody else. And so, as that regional, we would want to let that new employee know that. Okay. And then walk them through a little bit about the plan for day one. We already know they're going to need to bring their IDs. That's really super important. We only have 3 days to view those IDs in onboarding. And so I would definitely remind them of that.
Christy, can
And
I chime
then,
in real quick?
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
of course.
I was just gonna remind everybody, we do check with you guys obviously where you're gonna meet, especially if you have a dual property, if it's a use Pheasant Acres and Independence. I know they office at Pheasant Acres in Sioux City, and so I do try to double check with you guys, like which one will you be at, or some people have three properties, and let them know that. So when we confirm their final offer, we let them know exactly where they would be reporting, who they're going to be reporting to, what time. But if that stuff changes and we don't know that, if you want to let us know or relay that to the new employee, that is super helpful for them. And it's a great opportunity for you to be able to engage with them before they actually get started and kind of ask some of these questions. But we do check in with them on these and their ID documents. So it's not the first time they're hearing about it, but it's a good reminder. So we don't
Yeah,
forget.
absolutely. No, good point, especially for the multi-sites, for sure, for sure. And then if you're planning on taking them to lunch, if you've gotten that approval from your supervisor to do so, let them know that. We would hate for them to like pack a lunch on day one and then you're like, oh, I'm taking you to lunch. And so if that's the plan, go ahead and let them know. Again, we're building that excitement. And now they know they're getting coffee on their first day, they're getting lunch. It's going to be a great day. Um, and let them know what that first day kind of looks like. Okay, so we already know they're probably going to be taking some video trainings. I know Lindsay and I both, we get the question of what should I wear? And so definitely, refresh yourself on the Seldon apparel policy because you'll want to be able to share with them, what is appropriate for the job that they're going to be doing. And then make sure at this time that you're giving them your contact information. So if they think of something within that, week to 2 week time frame, they know how to get a hold of you and they feel comfortable doing it because you gave them permission to give you a call. If I didn't hear from my boss, I probably might be a little bit nervous about calling them directly, and I'd probably just turn around and call the recruiting team. But setting all of these expectations up in the beginning, that really helps with a new employee's first day jitters. Like who was nervous on their first day? I know I was. I get really nervous. Amino, I can see you. You said that you were nervous. Um, that's normal, we're kind of walking into the unknown. And so imagine how that would make that person feel if they called you, they asked, what are you interested in doing? What are you excited about? And then you kind of give them the lay of the land and the schedule for, whether it's the first day, the first week. Do you see how that might help build that trustworthiness and that confidence? I think that's really important. Also, within 7 seconds of meeting someone, a person will conclude if you are confident or weak, interested or aloof, friend or foe. So, what if the new employee walked in to see that you had personalized their workspace for them to feel like they belong? Maybe we filled out a team card and the whole team signed it, and it was like, hey, welcome. You got their little coffee and maybe a muffin or something on their desk. You've already taken the time to check all of their logins and make sure, does their email work? Does UKG Pro Learning work? Can they access RealPage, everything that they're going to need to know? Is there a set of keys on the desk with their card? In doing this as a leader, if you walked into that, do you think that you appear confident or weak? And do you come across as interested in having them there? Or are we like, it's another day, it's just a new person? Right? And so all those little things make a huge, huge impact. And so I would encourage you, if you've not been doing this when you have new employees, this is a great way to really just welcome them, make them feel at home. It takes a little bit of time, a little bit of planning, but so worth it in the end. So worth it. So let's take a look at this. Now, if anybody's desks look like this, we don't want to hear about it. But if we begin a welcome and an emphasis on organization, attention to detail, yet your desk looks a little something like this, what are we saying about ourselves and our expectations and the level of excellence that we hold for our own performance? Right? We've got spilled coffee, we got food, snacks, some partial notes. It even looks like they got Mr. Right Now calling them on their cell phone. So, if we go back to the beginning of this presentation and we remember that 55% of that first impression is what we see, we can talk that talk, but we aren't walking the walk, right? And so we want to make sure if we're building trustworthy and confidence, our workspace is consistent with what we're saying, okay? So make sure that you kind of tidy up the office, things are looking good, because we don't want that first impression based upon this, okay? So now we're at our first day. We want you to celebrate their arrival. Make team introductions. Go and introduce them to the rest of your team. Show them around. Show them where the bathrooms are, where to keep their lunch, where to keep their drinks. That's always a nice place to start, right? Because they're nervous. And then where do they put their personal belongings? If they're a site employee, I always have thought it's nice to give them a map. Show them where the model is, mark it on there, show them where the gym is, show them, where maybe the maintenance shop is. That might be important to know. But again, you're just easing those first day jitters and building that confidence with them, and you're looking like you're on it, right? Um, then also we need to talk about those onboarding items because we can't let those slip. We do still need to see those IDs. We need to get the new hire orientation forms back. We need that Teams call to your onboarding specialist. So there's going to be a few things that we absolutely must get done on that first day. But Again, also help them try to get logged in. Hopefully, you've already tested their logins, so there's no problems. We don't want them spending half the day with technology issues. That's super frustrating for everybody, right? And so we don't want those panicky emails to HR or to IT that they can't get into things. Hopefully, you've already kind of done that. So when you sit down and you show them, it's a really smooth and easy process. Um, and discuss their training schedule. Let them know what that's going to kind of look like. They've got the required bundle, the regulatory bundle that they have 7 days to complete. And then their role based bundle, they have 90 days to complete. So let them know that. We don't want them to see all that training and be like, oh my gosh, I got to get this done today. Not at all. Not at all. And then I think it's a great idea on day one, especially if we're building trustworthy and confidence. I think it's a great idea to set up their monthly one-on-one meetings. Um, if you were the new employee and your new supervisor had a plan in place for all of these items, what does this convey? Are we building that trustworthiness, sorry, and confidence? And I think so. So let's talk about, aside from the active listening, because we kind of did that, when we're making that phone call. Now they're in front of us. So let's talk about that body language. Because establishing trust through the body language, it is an essential part of building that strong rapport with your new hire. So positive body language can help you appear approachable and supportive, and engaged, which puts your new hire at ease. It also sets a really good foundation for a healthy working environment and relationship, and that's what we want. So let's talk about just a couple of key points as far as body language. We want to avoid crossed arms. I know I kind of sit like that sometimes. Avoid those crossed arms and those crossed legs. We want to be open and keeping our body open, to that conversation. So instead, keep your arms relaxed at your sides or lightly on the desk, or the table. And this is giving that signal that you're ready for that conversation. Additionally, make eye contact. Now, don't stare them down because that's just weird, but soft, consistent eye contact. When you're speaking with your new hire, maintain a comfortable level. It shows that you're focused, it shows that you're engaged and you're interested. But like I said, just be kind of mindful not to overdo that and just glare them down. Um, Next, we're all familiar with this as Selden employees, right? We need to smile. Smile genuinely. Show warmth through the smile. A sincere smile creates friendly and welcoming atmosphere. And again, it's making that new hire feel very comfortable, very at ease, and valued. Smiling helps reduce that tension, again, being brand new. So, and smile during casual conversations, even if it's something that it's kind of hard to talk about, a really warm smile can kind of keep things light, right? Also, as far as body language, use nodding to acknowledge or to understand, or, the thumbs up or some sort of agreement. These subtle nods during conversation, it really shows that you're listening. And again, you're engaged, you're actively listening to what they're saying. It reinforces your interest in their perspective and it shows that you understand. So encourage them to share their thoughts, right? One of our other behavioral expectations is to innovate and collaborate. And so we want your input. That's so important. When Cindy and I teach new hire orientation, that's one of the things that we really highlight is that Selden Company is not one that you come and put your head down and you just stay busy. No, give us your input. All of the ideas cannot come from corporate. And so encourage them, share that with them, that we want their thoughts, we want their ideas and their creativity. And when they're sharing that with us, nodding and understanding really shows a lot of respect. So I think that's really important. The whole entire goal is to make your new hire feel heard and valued and respected. And I think we can do that with some of these body language cues. Now let's jump into consistency. Consistency, I think, will really come along with those personalized check-ins. Setting up those one-on-ones really shows that you're not only on it and that you're scheduling things, but it shows, hey, she's going to meet with me or he's going to meet with me every single month. That's consistency, right? And we already know that consistency builds that trustworthiness and that confidence. So set expectations too for ongoing feedback. Let them know that you're going to provide feedback and you'd love theirs as well. You know, it's definitely a two-way street for this relationship. So, and then empathy. Empathy helps create positive emotional experiences. So be patient. It's easy for a new employee to feel overwhelmed on that day one, like we said. So make sure that they feel supported and capable in their new journey. And be that good listener, that active listener. Ask them how they're feeling on the first day, and then just listen carefully. Really kind of watch, right? And so if you see that they appear stressed or overwhelmed, step right in there and address that. Be supportive and encouraging. Offer praise, especially on the first day, even for little things that they've done well or any type of progress that they've made through the week. Maybe they finish up that first bundle within the first day instead of taking the whole week. That's definitely a good area to give positive reinforcement in. And then that just builds their confidence. And that's what we want, right? And then honesty. So when I say honesty, it's so much more than refraining from telling lies or just telling the truth, really. It's really about being transparent. Again, one of our behavioral expectations, that transparent communication, being open, being authentic in all of your interactions. So just being real. It involves admitting mistakes. I make them every day. And so, you know, I have no problem admitting that. But I think that brings you down to, instead of being like the boss, that makes you a real person, you know, and it's okay. We're all going to make mistakes. Um, voicing any concerns is really important. So we want you to be honest, but not negative. This is a great time, though, while you're having honest communication, for spiderweb compliments. And for those of you that might be a little bit newer with us, this again is a mindset term. Spiderweb compliments are like secondhand compliments, but they're actually the most impactful compliment that you can give. And so here's kind of an example. I might go up and say, "Hey, Janet, I wanted to let you know that Doug stopped by my office yesterday to tell me what a great job you did with invoices, delinquency, occupancy, whatever that thing is." But how do you think that employee that's standing there, the new one, how do you think that they feel when they see you compliment somebody else, right? That somebody told you this, so now you're going to share it with them. Um, that really speaks volumes about you as a leader. And I think that that person then stands back and goes, "She's going to compliment me when I'm not around too. That's awesome." She recognizes, she's not afraid to say thank you. Um, I don't know. Lindsay, what do you think about the spider web compliment? Do you have anything on that?
Yes, I just didn't want to interrupt you. I absolutely love them. I actually had an example today. I shared it with Christy right before this class that I was on the phone making an offer this afternoon, and the candidate, a new or a manager, was filling in to do an interview for this person. And so it wasn't even their particular site that they were interviewing for. They were just stepping in to help with this. And the candidate that I'm offering is telling me about the experience of the interview and they don't know this person, but what a great job that person did in the interview, told them their experience, shared how much, like, the growth pattern that they were able to have. They were a leasing specialist and then they worked their way up over the years to a manager role. We're hiring for a leasing position. And so she's like, "I can't wait to maybe one day be that, but this person's experience really sold me on your company." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I immediately called the regional and called them on Teams and shared that experience with them. And that actual individual is next on my list after this training today to talk to her too, just to thank her, because that really sold that person on the company. And that was just in an interview. So think about it when they're here and they know these expectations. It's a super impactful thing, and it just takes a couple minutes just to share that information. So we love it.
Yeah,
I love it. So I try.
I do.
Yeah.
I do too. Has anybody, I don't know, we've got several managers and regionals on the phone, and a VP. Do you guys have any experience with these secondhand compliments? If you want to share, feel free to jump off, or like how you maybe went about relaying it. Everybody's gonna be quiet. That's okay.
Hi,
No,
Christy. it's Cynthia. I'm gonna try. My mic sometimes is
Oh,
not the greatest.
You sound
hi, Cynthia.
Hi. Okay, so let me know if you can hear me or not. But like I said,
Yes.
my mic sometimes is wonky. But yes, the spider web compliment, I loved it so much. I personally has experienced it myself, and I did the same thing. And I remember one time, and I was still an operations support specialist. I was helping Alicia's and Jay portfolio at that time. So anyway, I was sharing something with Alicia, Reed, and then and I told Alicia, oh my God, I think it will be great if you can give some kind of like compliment of whatever. So Alicia write a card, and I mailed it to them, and they don't know any of that. And then the next time I went and visit, the first thing, they told me, oh my God, Cynthia, I need to tell you something. I was like, what? Like you are not gonna believe, who sent me a card. It's like, who? Alicia Reed. And then just the fact that they were just so happy and excited. And I'm like, that's amazing. Great job. And like you said, when I was on site, as a leasing, yes, even when I start my career as a leasing, it's nice to get a compliment from your manager, right? But when you got compliment from your regional or your VP, or even like, the upper leadership, it just makes, it makes everything special, right? And yes, Lindsay, I'm back.
I
And
agree.
that happened to me too. As a I'm new, right, as a regional manager. And I just want to shout out to Alicia because, I've learned so much from Alicia Reed, and I truly appreciate her leadership. One of the things is that, I got an email from Alicia Clark, and it was just congratulating, great job. And, I heard good things, and like, I'm pretty sure, like from someone like, oh my God, like, kind of an email from like Alicia Clark. I have a folder under, in my email. It's
Mhm.
just blessings and like, thankful. So like all the compliments that I got, yes, I put it in that folder. So, I don't know about you guys. Sometimes we have a tough day, right?
Yep.
Pipe bursts, or people walked out, or fire, or whatever, knock on wood. But when I'm having those tough moments, I always go to that inbox and just open and like pick one of those emails in random. And even I have a box of thank you card from all, like everyone that is in the company that I keep. And I think it's just a blessing. So I'm glad to be back at Selden. So thank you, Selden. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alicia.
I need a blessing folder. And we've all learned a million things from Alicia Reed. So we're all so glad she's
They're so
here.
impactful. All these messages are just super impactful for anybody. And if it just takes a couple minutes just to pass that along, and it really can make a difference. I did that with somebody the other day, and it was like a three-way spider web. I complimented somebody on something, and they're complimenting the regional or VP, and I circle it back, and each person was like, you just literally made my week, or they didn't read it, and then it started their week off well. And it's a positive message. I love them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So try the spider web compliments. Okay. Jumping into taking pride. Overall, we want to communicate the big picture. So we want to share Selden LLC's mission and values, and our mindset, behavioral expectations, and the leadership principles. None of us can hear those enough, right? And so help them understand the why behind what they're doing. They're not just coming to work every day. Most of us anyway on the call today, we work in an industry where we get to provide housing to people. I mean, that's a basic need. That's such a cool opportunity. And so share with them the why. Um, when I was writing this, I was kind of thinking, I don't know if Crystal's on the phone, or on the line, but Crystal Christensen, she manages the Highlander, and the Highlander is down in North Omaha. It's in an area where they've really tried to like revitalize the neighborhood. Oh my gosh, she's got an amazing story down there. That to me the why, you know, really trying to turn a neighborhood around, offering beautiful housing, you know, in more of a lower income environment. I mean, that's something to take pride in every single day. That's not just going to work and doing your job. And she's amazing and she's done an incredible job down there. But explain the why, tell them the story, you know, explain how their role fits into the larger company goals. Um, you know, we want to build consistent relationships. We want to build strong relationships, but we want that with our residents. We want it with our owners. We want it with our coworkers, and other Selden employees. And so I think that this really helps build like that sense of purpose from day one, that they're not just there to collect the rent, or they're not just there to open up a door and say, here's the living room and here's the kitchen, right? So it's bigger than that. And I hope you feel that it's bigger than that, because it is. So outline their goals and the expectations that you have for them, and then be really clear, you know, be clear about what your expectations are, be clear about the performance that's going to be evaluated, because that really helps them. It helps them feel focused and it helps them feel motivated. So as we go back, I wanted to just show you this one more time. Are we relaying trust and confidence? If we're actively listening, if we're giving consistent positive body language, if we're staying consistent in what we expect and what we're doing, and we're walking the talk, we're being empathetic and we're being honest, are we relaying that trust and confidence? And I would say yes. I would definitely say yes. So lastly, have we built that trust and confidence? What do you guys think? If we take the steps that we just talked about, how could they not be confident in our ability as a leader? Right? We've welcomed them warmly before they even start. We celebrate their arrival on day one. We have a plan. We've given them keys and a card, and we picked up their coffee and we're taking them to lunch. That's a pretty good first day. And so I think that person will be real excited and feel that trust and confidence in you as a leader to come back on day two or week two. So who wants 250 work tango points? Anybody? Oh, I see Lynette. Lynette wants it. List in the chat, or you can come off mute, and list one of these 5 ways that you're going to focus on to make a great impression. You're going to challenge yourself. So how are you going to show your new employee that trust and confidence? Active listening, positive body language, empathy, consistency, or honesty? And what are you going to do under one of those sections? You can either jump off mute and talk to us, you can throw it in chat, but from everybody that we hear ideas from, we'll go ahead and give you 250 work tango points a little bit later. Anybody want to jump off mute and share?
Active listening.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do, because many times in our position, we get pulled from every which way. The phone will ring, someone will knock on the door, something like that. So basically putting a sign up saying that I'm busy during this time, or even putting the phone to the answering service during the time that I have that person eye contact, because sometimes an email could pop in as well, or a Teams chat. So just making sure that they have my undivided attention, because I know I have been busy of multitasking while doing other things. So
I love it.
that's what
Thank
I
you,
will
Lynette.
concentrate on. Absolutely.
That's perfect. Thank you. Who else? Anybody else?
So this is a little off topic, but one of the big things that I have noticed with mine is I have a Excel that is live sheet with every employee that I have. So everybody shares it amongst each other, and it's their favorite color, their favorite movie, their favorite restaurant, their favorite pastime, hobby. And when everybody comes and they join that and they kind of get to see what everybody else likes, it kind of has helped them build rapport. Say one of them likes to do, I have one that particularly likes to play pool and has gone all the way to Vegas, and you would just never think that she plays pool and does that. But so they've learned to kind of have more of a team of getting together is how I see it, because they all kind of get to know something about each other.
I love that. What a cool idea. And that's just a spreadsheet that everybody has access to. Oh,
Right.
Lucy, that's cool.
Yeah, it's live.
Reminds me, Lacey, you were here back in our day doing this, but do you remember our old favorites sheet we used to do with new hires and they'd have to fill it out and have to send it back? But it was so impactful because you can just learn those
Sophie is
notes and then
nodding.
you get them something special that's their favorite color or their favorite candy bar just for something.
And what it's helped me with is if I'm trying to get them a little something for their birthday, or if I just want to get them a little gift card, I kind of know where they prefer it from. So it's just kind of a neat.
That is very cool. I'm telling you, if I came to work and my boss put a box of Milk Duds, I mean, tell me what you need me to do. I'm yours. I'm your girl for a box of Milk Duds. These are all great. What do we have any good ones in the chat, Lindsay?
Yes, I loved, well, I know we ask you to do that, but we always don't know if that's happening. But Jamie mentioned doing the phone call with the new hire within 24 hours of being offered the job. So we try to push for that just because, you know, you might have interviewed them 2 weeks ago and made your final decision and you haven't interacted with them since. So we're doing the recruiting piece and the back end, the background check and the offer and the drug screen, and that process can take a little while. And we've had that before, and I know some of you guys have been in our classes too, where we discuss this. That piece can take a little bit of time. We try to move as fast as possible, but by the time I get done with them and I tell them where they're going to start, they're so excited. They've met you, they've met the property, they're ready to go, they've accepted. And then it could be that 2 to 3 week mark before they get started. And that's that connection that we're talking about right here. We're kind of using the term pre-boarding-ish, if you want to use that. So we have the hiring and the pre-boarding, onboarding phase. We really like that connection there. But I like obviously giving them a call, so you're interacting with them one more time before they get started. And even if they have a 2 weeks, if you do it within the 24 hours and you tell them, I'm so happy that, you know, you've accepted and you're going to be starting, maybe just put a little calendar. I do a lot of calendar reminders even to put my trash out. So just put that in your phone. Your new hire starts in 2 days. Maybe put that on your phone so you can remember to do it. But
Yeah, absolutely. Did we get any others in the chat?
We've got positive body language, active listening, taking time to hear people through, not rushing. I love that, slowing things down.
Yes, just slow it down. Slow it
Erin
down.
brought
It
up
doesn't all
bringing up
have to get fixed in day one.
for their first day, making it special with their favorite beverage, which we love. We ask that something when you do call them, ask them what they like to drink so you can have that at the property.
Yeah.
See the
Yeah.
consistency in daily, weekly, one-on-one, setting those up.
Awesome.
Body language. Active listening. It seems so silly, but it's when you take I want to say the word chaos, but when there's so much other things going on, but you dedicate that time, you're actively working with them. I think that makes a huge impact.
Agree. Yeah, agree.
People love Lacey's idea. I like that a lot.
Stormy did a really good, I should have put that in the presentation. She had a manager start not long ago, and she got their coffee order. She got a little basket, and I think, gosh, I feel like it had some tea in there, maybe some snacks and a little blanket. It was just super cute, a really cute little welcome to Selden, you know. And I know that not every property has the budget for that stuff. So again, always, you know, make sure with your supervisor that it's okay to kind of do some of those things, but I don't think it takes a lot. You know, I really think more so it's about the effort of doing something like that. So
I
that's
like
great.
the favorite candy bar. Like that could be just such a simple thing because they're
Yeah.
doing, you know, your first day is pretty much training and you set them up for that too. Have a couple snacks ready for them in the afternoon to lighten that up. I'll never forget my first days too, doing those very long trainings back in the day. They were hours and then there was tests at the end, and we've come a long way since 12 years ago.
No tests on the first day. Anybody else have anything that they're gonna start or they're gonna implement, they're gonna work a little bit harder on in regards to this? You guys are all great leaders, so
If you ever want ideas, Christy and I are here.
absolutely. Always, always. Oh, I always have an opinion. And I am always happy to share it. So, all right, guys. Well, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for jumping on for today. I will go ahead and get this recording sent out to you along with the presentation. So if there's anything that you're thinking about later or comes to you, feel free to reach out to Lindsay and I. We're always so happy to help. But again, we appreciate your support and jumping on with the education. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and thank you so much. We'll see ya. Bye, guys.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Amina.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
Tara. See you guys. Yay.